Hello, welcome to Luna Midnight Designs. It's time for the sister of spring to join her sisters autumn and winter. Spring is all about new life and the plants turning green and the flowers blooming. Plus, depending on where you live, a lot of rain. So for this sister's outfit, I'm aiming for a cute spring look with bright colors and floral patterns and a raincoat and boots. And her head will be a raindrop. Don't know how I'm gonna pull it off, but I will figure it out along the way. So let's get started. I also want her to be a lot shorter than her sister, so I'm going to cut her legs at the shins and thighs, and also around her torso. I have lengthened a doll before, but shortening them is a lot harder because you still need to make it look proportional. I also end up cutting off her feet because they are too big now for her shorter frame. I try to figure out how much I want to remove of her shins to shorten her. It was very puzzling for a while, my brain was struggling, but luckily I watched one of Moonlight Jewel's videos where she shortens a doll and it really helped. I use a thick wire and epoxy to hold the limbs together, and for feet I'm using Twyla's, just chop and glue. After sanding and smoothing everything as best as I could, I paint the body so all the clay is covered and skin matching. This outfit has some ambitious parts to it, such as the clear plastic raincoat, but I'm going to focus on the easy parts first, the plain blouse and the underskirt. So let's start with the underskirt. I cut the waistband out of white fabric and the skirt out of this pre-pleated white fabric. I don't know why I put the skirt together the way I did, but it works out in the end. I first hem the sides and add a closure. I then gather the skirts and attach them to the waistband. After that, I hem the top of the waistband and close up the back of the skirt only halfway and then hem the rest. For the plain white blouse, I use this stretchy white fabric and cut out all the pieces and fray check. After that, I got an idea for a gradient on the sleeves. So I soak the sleeves in water and then use very watered down yellow paint to add a gradient. Use a lot of water so the fabric isn't stiff once it's dry. I also paint the cuffs fully yellow, but again, very watered down. After the sleeves are dry, I hem the cuffs and then attach them to the sleeves. I then gather the sleeves a little and attach them to the bodice. I then close the side and sleeve seams and add a closure and done. So for the socks, I just mapped out where I would have to sew while the doll was wearing them and then just sewed along the line. Time for the overalls skirt. I had to Frankenstein some patterns together, but it worked pretty well. So I cut the pieces out of this blue daisy fabric. After that, I hem the top of the overall front piece. Then I hem the straps and add 2 rings at one end. I also add grommets to the overall's front piece for the straps, rings to hook through. Next, I see where on the doll I want the waist to be and sew the waistband to the front piece. Next, I add some belt loops. I then hem the bottom of the skirt and gather the top of it. After that, I attach the skirt to the waistband and add a closure and close the back. And with that, the overall skirt is done. It turned out super cute. Time for the raincoat. I did make a prototype by using an iron to kind of melt the plastic a bit together and some thread, but the iron sometimes clouded the plastic and I didn't like the look of the thread. So I tried again by melting the pieces at the seam with a candle. Also, because on camera you can't see the pieces of the raincoat, I'm going to use the paper pattern to show you what I'm doing. So to start, I melt the seams together at the shoulder. Be very careful you don't burn the plastic too much or yourself. I tested first how far I needed to be from the candle. Just use caution if you want to try this out, but I don't recommend this method. But after it is melted, you can flip it over like a normal seam with thread. Also, if you want to fold the plastic like I did for the cuffs, use parchment paper and a low heat setting on your iron to make the plastic stay where you want it to be. The sleeves were the hardest part because of the curve and angle, which is where the most burnt parts are. And with that, the raincoat is done. Her rain boots are just G3 Frankenstein's clear boots with yellow painted rims. I give her little rain cloud, a rainbow belt, and some extra daisies to her outfit, and with that, her outfit is done. Now for her head, which was the next challenge without a resin printer. I had to use my brain and figure out a way to use resin to make a clear head. So first, I cut this hard plastic out into the shape I want, a smaller and a larger one. I then filled the shapes with air-dry clay to fully form the head shape I want. I then wrap the molds with saran wrap, and then slowly paint on layers of resin. So the smaller drop I use blue resin coloring, and for the larger drop just the clear. I only cover the half the clay is on. Once it has enough layers, I remove it carefully from the mold, and I sand any rough edges and areas. Then I use the same resin to cover the hard plastic sides, and then use more resin to attach the sides together. But I make sure the small drop is fully done and smooth and just the way I want it before finishing the larger drop, because I want the smaller one to go inside of the bigger one. So after sealing, sanding, and resin, sanding again, and top coats, I have a head. But I want to add more, so I use UV nail polish to give the head on one side flowers and the other a bubble face. And with these two sides done, the Sister of Spring is ready. And here is the final doll, Spring Blossom, the Sister of Spring, the season of rain and flowers. She brings flowers and rain, playing in the sun 1 second and dancing in the rain the next. She greets the bees and the butterflies and sings with the birds the songs of spring. She talks with the flowers that bloom and the plants that grow. Either rain or shine, she enjoys both, for she is the Sister of Spring. Will you join her in dancing in the rain, or lay with her in a field of flowers? Definitely happy with how her outfit turned out, especially the raincoat. I was so worried about that part. The head is good, but could be better if I'm honest with myself. But I am still happy I figured out a way to make it work. I hope you all have a happy spring if that is the season for you now. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. Follow me on Instagram to see more. To be more a part of my process, check out my community page for polls on doll ideas and sneak peeks of upcoming videos. And subscribe to catch future videos. Thank you all for the love and support. Have a creative day. See you soon. Bye!